Nice breeze, but I'm not here to teach you anything. My YouTube is like a mirror of my activities. And if that can help others not to make a mistake, that'll be great. As Charlie Munger said, invert. Instead of trying to do so good, if you eliminate not to do so bad, you upgrade. Well, as you upgrade, you adjust your norm to the higher level. So there's continuous improvement to be made. So that's theory, but let's talk about the practice. I was talking about this flat tire of the bike, and even talked about heaven helps those who help themselves. What's the opposite? Hell helps those who are into hell. No, my English is bad too. Heaven helps those who help themselves. Hell push you down for those who are pushing himself down to hell. Well, anyway. Okay, here's the story. I have what they call the Holo card. That's a bus card that you tap and then you get the process done. In Japan I do it, in the US I do it, in Hawaii I do it with a bus. When I go diving, I don't want to carry many things, because if you bring things, it may be stolen. They are homeless people. So you want to have it very bare minimum. So that I thought, okay, what do I do with this Holo card, the bus card? And that's all I bring. No credit card or anything. Even watch, I wondered, how to deal with that. In any case, what happened is that I had this Holo card and I punched a tiny hole on the edge, and so that I can put it around my neck and easy to handle, not to be lost any place in the pocket. I thought that's an invention. When I made the hole, I had some bad feeling, and that bad feeling became the reality. When I started to use the card, it didn't register. And after this and that, long story short, it seems very apparent that the little tiny hole, maybe 1 millimeter and a half, just a tiny hole, may have damaged the antenna, so that when you tap, register, but antenna is broken, therefore they don't register. The bus driver was kind enough that I could pass by. So today, after going out and then coming back, I checked, and I went to the Foodland, that's the supermarket, because they say new card can be issued there, if in case you lost or had problem with the card. So I went there, thinking that might be a good way out. So the person checked the card first, and it didn't work. So that gave me a sense that, until then I wasn't quite sure, because that hole was so tiny on the edge. But somewhere I saw it beforehand that you may damage the card. About this size card and a tiny hole on the edge of it. But I had a funny feeling at the time, when you think back. So, Foodland, the person said, well, this doesn't work. I also checked on the internet to see if the card is still there, valid, and there was $13 available, so it's working but cannot register. And it's proven that the person at the Foodland couldn't process it. There's no way that this card is working. So what do I do? It turned out I have to take a bus 2 hours to go to Honolulu, because supposedly you can get this card, Holo card, nearby at the supermarket, but that's not for the seniors. The senior people have to take 2 hours to go to Honolulu. They call it transit center. taking a bus and switching and going down there. I thought 2 hours, oh no. And then I was playing with this Google Gemini this time, and they suggested this and that. I even said that, what if I put the copper coil plugged into this, 1 millimeter hole so that the antenna can be connected? No, it doesn't seem to work. I don't know how long it took. Anyway, the conclusion is that I'm going to the transit center because there are satellite centers that you can go visit. And when I got this card, I did it in Kaneohe, the other city, and it took such an effort. Once the camera was broken, the second time, the guy who is supposed to have for this appointment, he didn't show up. So that was very, very important card. I remember that. So when I made the hole, could this go wrong? But my engineering judgment, I couldn't think that far ahead in terms of those antennas spreading out to the edge of those plastic cards. What a technology, wonderful. So I have to go take a bus 2 hours from here to there, and so on and so forth. Lessons. It's done. I was stupid in a way, but it's one of those technology advancement, may be convenient, but we may be oblivious about certain things. So in a way, I think about this. I move from one location to the next, and every time they call it the switching cost. The cost incurred is there because of the habitual pattern to be changed, housekeeping, organization, everything. After 1 month, I'm settled, but not this one. I heard a story. My ex-wife's father, I think he lived more than 100 years. She said one time, maybe he was at 70s or 80s, he becomes so timid or cautious that anything he does takes time. And I can see that because the damage you get or the stress you get, you don't want to have it. So going through 1 month and having problem with the Apple situation, the MacBook Air, and other things I haven't touched on. There are other things that I have to work on, somewhat legally related issue. That's been clearing out. So gradually I'm moving, and so that I have certain amount of stress, but not too less. So that's kind of a navigating process. But this one came out of nowhere. As much as the puncture, the flat tire came out of nowhere 2 days ago or something. Wow, this is life. Impermanence. Murphy's Law. What's the Murphy's Law? Everything is bound to fail because it's a law of entropy. Whatever we have ideas organized, life, living, can go wrong. That's what it is. Impermanence. I'm smiling. I don't know why. I'm resolving to that state. And I'm going to take a bus, maybe 6:30 in the morning. Not tomorrow because I have things to do with the Apple support. There's another issue I have to work on. That was a lost file on my MacBook Air. It's an important file. It's called the file on finance. There may be 30 items in there. But one thing popped up is that I could recollect the information as of January. Backup worked for whatever reason. It wasn't working before, but when I was talking with the Apple support people, I was explaining and then I looked into it, and previously there was none of that. That's what I remember. But as I was explaining, it suddenly popped up. This is life, impermanence. It can go this way or the other way, good or bad. Overall, some people say my life had more of the good than bad. I don't know. You just want to convince yourself like that. Maybe I'm doing it too. But let's be honest. I think I subscribe the idea of the nothingness. At the end, everything is nothing. And the nothing is everything. It's human judgment that makes our life sort of interesting, but also painful. And those two things come together. But like Charlie Munger, invert, waste elimination. Do not go where you may die. But eventually you're gonna die. So you cannot win. Resolve. It is what it is. I look at the cat, and the cat knows where to go. When the cat sees these people making noise, they just stay away, not to say anything. I feel like it. And one thing I noticed this morning, maybe because of the cat, is that because I did this 10-day Vipassana course, dozen times more than dozen times. And that's pretty profound. I don't do it as much recently, in the last 5-6 years. Maybe I did once, just to check. But you know what's happening then? It's you are silent most of the time. So you can only deal with yourself. And there's no Holo card, there's no Apple computer, there's news from the political scene here and there. You are secluded in that environment. And you can stay quiet, looking yourself, and relate to what at the core of our being. That's what I say. And because I had this awakening experience, whatever that may mean, it may not mean anything, because it's just about the way it is, and nature's way. But having those times, it's kind of like living like a cat. No eye contact, no talking. It sounds horrible, perhaps, for many of you. But that's also what's enlightening. To know more about ourselves and to know about the nature and what's at the core. So, at the old age, many old people may be quiet. Not to disturb this, not to disturb that. I'm like that in a way, but I still want to explore, like talking to the people in the backpackers inn. Many are 20s and 30s, 40s, not like 77 like me. But I know a story of Zen masters or Zen monks. That was Ikkyu. He used to stay at the place, the red light district in Kyoto. Brothel, is that the word? And also some of the monks stay underneath the bridge, under the bridge, with the homeless. I don't mean to say that the people in the backpackers inn is homeless, but in a way I feel like this is good for me to see the world that I may not see otherwise. You know, It may be good to be alone. It may be good to be with a bunch of people. It may be good to be quiet in certain instance, living way. It may be also good to go out. No formula, but like the case of cat and the Buddha's case, because Buddha and many others who lived in such practice like a Zen or Shin Buddhism, I think they lived a very quiet life. And it's like the cat's life. Be aware what's going on. Not to go explore too much. But willing to go to hell. That's Vimalakirti's case. Because nirvana, heaven, is not where you want to be forever. You'll be forever when you die. Eternal home. But you can go back and see the world and have the pain, share the pain, relate to the pain, and still find a way moving forward, having fun, and find the path for may all beings be happy. I'll report back to you perhaps about my right for this Holo card exchanging thing. You never know what happens. Tomorrow is unknown. The past is already gone. Let's make the most. And look at all the trees. They're living the best they can. I can learn from them. Happy life. Have a good day.